Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for May the 14th, 2020. Today we are doing a Prime Minister's Questions Response. Yay! The topics of the day were obviously coronavirus related, but there was a clear pattern, and some additional facts that were rather interesting came to light post-PMQs, which then paints an even clearer picture as to who the victor was today. So it starts with people thanking the nurses. Yesterday was some kind of International Nurse Appreciation Day, I believe, along with NHS workers. I'm going to go straight into Keir Starmer's first question, though, because honestly, the virtue. Question number 1. Keir Starmer cites government releases on care home deaths and how 40% of all deaths, according to the Office of National Statistics, have come from care homes. So does the Prime Minister accept that the government was too slow to protect people in care homes? Personal opinion, they were a bit slow on this, because it was only very recently anything actually happened that benefited care homes, and it's still quite slow. So the Prime Minister's answer, no, and says that the government release was a lie. What we've seen is a huge increase and exercise in testing in care homes, with the number of outbreaks and fatalities in care homes coming down, while also accepting that more needs to be done. Question number 2, Keir does point out, no, it's not a lie, it's your own numbers. He reads a quote from a cardiologist about suspected and unknown cases, which many were unprepared for, the care homes, that is, courtesy of lack of PPE, being sent to those care homes. So does the Prime Minister accept that the cardiologist is right about this? Boris decides to correct the cardiologist on the number of discharges into care homes, which he says are down, and that there is a system of testing that is being ramped up in the 15,000 care homes in the United Kingdom. Question number 3. The Office of National Statistics records average numbers of care home deaths. In April 2019, that number was just over 8,000. But this April, the number is 26,000, which is a 3 times average. Government only records 8,000 as COVID-19 deaths. That's still 10,000 unexplained deaths. Can the Prime Minister give the government's view on the unexplained deaths? To which Boris answers by talking about how COVID-19 affects the elderly more, and how the Office of National Statistics and the government collect data on this, and how numbers are overall going down, and also how getting the R number down in care homes drastically is yielding positive results. Anyone noticing the pattern so far? Okay. Question 4. Keir Starmer points out that you can only get the numbers down if you understand them. He also expresses his disappointment in a lack of answer, which is correct. He goes on to quote COVID death numbers and government comparing it to other countries. So his question is, why has the UK government stopped presenting slides comparing us to other nations? There is an answer to this, and I'll let Keir say it. Well, I'll say it on his behalf in a moment. Boris's answer, because okay, he does mention that what will happen in hindsight. But the first part of that answer was pretty accurate, to be honest. My patience has worn out a little on Boris on this one. Question 5. Keir Starmer does mock the Prime Minister by pointing out that the reason the government slides are no longer used and are dropped is because the UK has become the highest in Europe. Optics, basically. He points out that via a professor that by dropping the numbers, we drop the learning. His question for this comes from a quote from a mother who talks about people being encouraged to go to work, her partner working in construction, but it can't happen as they can't get childcare. So what advice does Boris Johnson have for her? Boris starts by pointing out he would like to look at that case and pay particular attention to it, but also that the UK government is paying attention as the relaxed rules in other nations has seen the R number rise. On point of childcare, the government expects employers to be understanding on this and not fire them. So to the final question. Keir Starmer recognises the UK has got tough decisions. After confusion and attempting to regain public confidence, can the Prime Minister commit to publishing the scientific advice that the decisions were based on? The short answer is that all sage advice is published, air quotes, in due course. I'm going to give Blackford one question, because both were actually trash, but I'd like you to see just what he wants to talk about. He starts by talking about virtue with nurses, which is normal. He points out that the 4 nations of the United Kingdom were all in unity up until Sunday. Will the Prime Minister accept that Scotland's First Minister wants to keep lockdown because she's a contrarian cow that can't help but panic even when things are improving? The more serious version of that question is, will he accept that Scotland doesn't want to lesser or lower or reduce the lockdown and get those cringy sticker poster things that say stay alert on away from Scotland? 'Cause Scotland, yo. Which Boris answers by saying he agrees with the message on saving the NHS and lives, and then flays in Blackford. Yeah. Wasn't the most exciting PMQs, I will say. Even in this setting, there have been more interesting ones. But the one thing I took away from it was some of the numbers Boris cited were incorrect. That has been proven today and yesterday evening, I believe. And Keir Starmer absolutely hammered him on some very interesting points that made me think that perhaps Boris wasn't as up to date on the information as he should have been. But I could be wrong, and if I am, please do let me know in the comments down below.